Hi everyone, and welcome. It is Friday, which means
We have a cat.
it's time for cats. It's time for
Aw.
Paint and Slay, and it is Ivy as well as Lauren. And as you can tell right above me, we have a special guest today. Tanya is joining us, and Tanya, I am so glad you can jump in for this particular episode because we're going to have some fun today, and we're going to be painting the
Yay.
Whiz Kids D&D Nolzur's Marvelous Miniatures Flail Snail, which this is
Ooh.
one that we have definitely been geared up and waiting for a while for Lauren and I. We like it so much, Lauren even put in two flail snails in the overlay. Because, I mean,
Ooh.
how could you not?
You got to show off that shell, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Honey, what are we doing here? But before
Hi,
we get
Rory.
I know, right? She knows you're here. She's like,
Aw.
tail.
I'm like, oh, buddy, you're going to get paint on your tail.
Yes, I was
Right?
just thinking that. Yeah.
She's the brush now.
She is the brush now. But before we get started, we do have a couple things going on with the game. Lauren, how about we start talking about what's going on and what people can expect for this weekend?
Sure. Well, I think the thing that just happened, that just got announced, the next champion that's going to be coming to Idle Champions, Dinah Hair. The
gorgeous?
video and the video spotlight and the blog are now live, so you can find out all about the champion that you'll be able to unlock next week on Wednesday during Fleet's Wake.
Yes.
And yeah, she's been a lot of fun. I've been
has
playing
been.
around with her to make
Yeah.
these videos, and she's been super fun and fits into a lot of formations. So definitely go check out the video and the blog. You know, maybe after the show, it'll be there. But that starts on Wednesday, and yeah, I think because the devs have been talking about events 2.0, as they say, this is kind of our last regular event before
Yep.
we get into some exciting 2.0 action. So join us for Fleet's Wake, and then you probably also have the weekend buffs. I'm gonna guess. Yes, I was right. This weekend it's a dance party. It's a dance party. Go dancing. Get yourself a free gold dancing chest, which those boots are amazing. They're made for dancing.
Kent's boots.
Are those for Kent?
Yeah.
That is hilarious because before we got onto the call, I was catching up and watching the episode with Brian and Eugenio.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
I'm
Yeah.
just like, when I saw that for approval purposes, I just started cackling.
I love
That's
it.
so appropriate. It is so appropriate.
Maddie
So-
knocks those chests out of the park every
Every
single
single
week.
time.
Oh my
And-
God, and the chest has a disco.
Yes.
Mhm.
I was going to say, I'm waiting for the rest of it to register.
I should, if we weren't live, I would absolutely text Brian and Eugenio right now.
It's too perfect. It is too perfect. I
It's
think they have a
absolutely
new
wonderful.
Logo. Yeah.
Oh,
it
yeah.
really is.
Absolutely. And you can get your own free gold dancing chest if you're signed up for our newsletter. Go into your game. If you haven't signed up for the newsletter, go into the settings, and the newsletter is right there. And when you sign up, you'll get a newsletter right away that includes a code for Hitch to unlock. And then you'll get every week on Friday, you'll get a free gold chest. We try to send out just one newsletter a week, just so that, you know, we're not sending a ton of stuff, and every time we do, we send you something free. So check that out. And if you've got anything that you're trying to take care of this weekend before it's Fleet's Wake time, maybe you're trying to get done with the new adventures that just came out on Wednesday, a whole bunch of champions are going to have a little bit of a buff, including Kent and his dancing shoes. So definitely check that out. I believe that is all live right now. And I can't think if there's anything else, but
We have
I.
one more
uh,
thing. The
oh,
reason
oh
why-
yes, the reason that
The reason why we have Tanya.
Well, okay, yeah,
Well, it's Friday.
it's
is
Friday,
Friday.
and I just did that. This is an amazing skin that has come out, and I feel like at this point we should just ask Tanya, hey,
Hi.
tell us a little bit about this amazing skin for Fen.
So, if you got to see the Black Die Society, you saw that Fen did not have the best time in the Feywild. But it's a fun place, and I got to have a fun design session with V and Art, and it was just something to do, like get away from the like super like not dour, but like almost all of my characters have mostly dark colors.
Yeah.
So I was like, wait a minute. The Feywild is bright. It's fun. It's colorful. So let's do that with Fen.
I
Yeah.
love the hair.
Me
The hair
too.
is the with the fading into the red. I love it. I love it so much. So yes,
Yeah.
this is available in game. Get yourself a Feywild Fen skin and feet pack right now. Or later when you're also looking at Dynahair and doing other
Exactly.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
Okay.
the fun part, fun fact, my hair was still red at the tips when we had the meeting about this. My actual hair,
Yeah.
and now it's purple. So that I think that's hilarious because is mainly purple.
Yep. You've
Hmm.
like flip flopped it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a nice pop of color right there though. I really like it.
Yeah.
It's super cool.
It's super
If the
eye-catching.
person who does my hair would actually agree to it, I would absolutely bleach my hair totally white.
Ooh, that would be cool.
That'd be
Like
very
I would
cool, but I
like
could
to
see
do
that being a
yeah.
lot
Yeah.
of work.
That's
Oh
the
yeah,
thing.
that'd be a two trip process. Also, he's like, I'm not damaging your hair that way. No.
Yeah,
Eh,
that's a thing. That's definitely
Fair enough. Yeah.
talk to a professional and you're gonna bleach your hair. Let's put it that way. I've seen
Yeah.
some horror stories out there. People who try to bleach at home and just
Oh no.
not any
I've
results.
I bleached mine once, went to a professional for the same reason because I did not want to. I don't have much hair, but I didn't want to lose the little bit that I had. And yeah, it was once again,
You have to be
not
careful.
much hair. And it was
Yeah.
still a process for me.
Yeah.
So, oof.
That's just
Oof.
it. So
So
what
yeah,
I
get yourself a fun skin in the
Yeah.
game so that you can live vicariously through the characters in the game and not have to go through that process yourself.
Exactly. That's all you have to
Yes.
do. So we're going to be working on the Whiz Kids, D&D Nolzur's Marvelous Miniatures, Flail Snail. Remember, this comes primed ahead of time, so you can literally just take this out of the box. Now, keep in mind, this is a pretty big mini, and this is why, because the minis come, I don't have a tiny, the minis do come in different sizes. So this little base here, that's a small, that's a medium, that's a large, that's a huge. This is a huge mini. Okay. So I'm not speaking in hyperbolic methods here when I say we are painting a huge mini. Technically, size wise, huge. So we're going to be working on this Flail Snail today, and I just want to just get a little range of sizes here. And if you went to Discord, you will see that the next time we go to paint this snail, there are some special effects paints that I'm highly recommending you get for when we go to treat the last layer of interest on the snail flail shell, which is also why my nails are multicolorific today. So I basically
pretty.
went through and I swatched. There were two paint brands that I recommended. Both come from the same company, ultimately from Plaid. But these are paints that you can find in the craft aisle. However, if you go to Discord, Lauren has made sure to link in some Amazon links if you want to buy sets. So it is either the Folk Art Color Shift or the Delta Ceramicoat Flash Metallics. Now, I tend to like these for spell effects more than the color shifts, just because I like how these really get more multi-tonal. You can kind of see in the example up here. But when you go to buy these paints, think about the ultimate shell color you want to have on your snail when the time comes, because depending on which color you go for will definitely dictate just how much that color gets shifted over. This one almost obliterates I always look at the little crescent of white at the top of my nails to see how opaque the colors get. So looking here, you can see it almost gets rid of that little crescent at the top here. So, if you're going to use this, this is one that you want to thin out if you want to go more for that like lime greeny finish of your snail's shell. The other ones going through, this hand is basically all the ceram coat. You can tell that most of them tend to keep it so that my nails do peek through at the top. So you don't have to worry about as many issues with thinning. When it comes to the folk art, though, you'll want to thin those out because the darker the colors get, the more opaque they're going to get. Like this is the ceram. This is the folk art version of the Delta, but you can see same color,
Oh yeah, wow.
but it
Oh, wow.
definitely has more pigment to it. So if you decided to go with the folk art paints because that's what you have locally, because oftentimes these paints are carried in different regions. That's why I suggested two different brands. So if you have to end up getting the folk art from your local craft store, you absolutely want to thin your folk art paints. In fact, when you get to their black, the black pretty much just goes almost solid. So that's why I like to put black on, just so you can see how pigmented these can get. Whereas the other things are fine. This on my pinky nail is actually, I noted you can use a light blue metallic. You can use it if you want to, but it is so pale. Basically, all you're going to be doing is giving the shell a shimmery look. It's not going to have a fun color shift thing like these other paints. So just wanted to give you a heads up before you go to look into purchasing these for next time we go to work on these paints. And for this episode, you get to enjoy the fact that I actually have color on my nails, which I almost never do. But we're going to get started. I like it. It's fun.
Yeah.
Ironically,
and for those of you... Sorry, go ahead.
These will probably stay on my nails way longer than most nail polish.
And for those of you who are wondering, who are listening and want to know about that Discord, discord.gg/idlechampions, come on over to Discord. We have a Paint and Slate channel that I pin posts with all of the specific stuff that you need to paint any of the minis that we have, including our previous minis that are on the YouTube. And also, if you are joining us for the Young Black Dragon, which has taken a pause, you can kind of catch up with that as well. And now I will drink because I'm required to do that every time I talk about the Discord.
Every time it's said, you must drink. So for the paints this week, we're actually going to be using the ones that we've been using for previous episodes. You're very familiar with this if you're, every episode watcher. It's the D&D Prismatic Paints sets, the beginner and the intermediate. So we're going to be pulling from those colors this week. And then we'll go into like the fun, different techniques for the next time we go. I don't want to say next week because I don't think we're doing next week. I think we're going back to the Black Dragon stuff. But just keep that in mind. The more technique paints will be coming later on. So the first thing we're going to start off with is, and this name cracks me up, we're going to be going for the D&D Prismatic Paints Sick Green.
Oh.
Which is
it's right here.
Yeah, it's right there. So this is what we're going to be making as the base color of our shell. So the name of the game today is basically getting the Flail Snail itself painted up. We're going to save the base towards the end, like I like to do. That way we don't have to worry about like getting paint on the base and everything like that, especially because we have some interesting techniques cropping up with this particular miniature. So we're going to start painting the shell entirely with the Sick Green. You do want to make sure you're thinning this out because this mini has a heck of a lot of texture going on and some deeper recesses. So you want to make sure the Sick Green is getting into those seam lines of that shell so that when we come to painting it, you're not going to be like, oh, wait, there's like this streak of white deep in the recesses of the shell. So we're going to get started with that.
It's like 1 or 2 drops of water?
Yeah. You want it to be the consistency of warm maple syrup.
Okay.
I think I'm close enough.
Yeah.
For a color called Sick Green, it's actually kind of a pretty green.
Pretty. It's like a spring green for those of you who are looking for the more generic term of the green.
Also, I just have to point out because paints amuse me. I don't know why. So the prismatic ones, we've had them now for a couple of months, right? More than a couple.
Yeah, almost a year now. Because last time Tanya was on Paint and Slay, she and I were using those paint sets. So we've had them for at least a year now.
That's right.
Yeah.
And they look like tiny little bottles, but I have yet to have any of these run out or even run low. And then the metallics came and I'm going to have metallics forever. I'm going to have these paints
I've had
forever.
mine for like, oh my God, 5 years now. Yep.
So how's that?
That looks good. Yeah.
I started with the butt.
I mean, you got to start somewhere.
Come on. Focus.
Is that the... Ooh, I didn't think about that. I was wondering if like the bottom of the foot is the butt or is it the
We're back
inside
to
of the
anatomy
shell?
class.
Yeah. Well, I wonder about that while I also start at the butt.
Well, I figure it's easier to start at the end and go in.
That makes sense.
Honestly, whatever speaks to you.
On occasion, my brain kicks in.
There you go.
It's been a long week.
That's one of the reasons that we like having the show on a Friday. It's nice and it's a calm-ish. I mean, I say ish just because we're streaming, so you always have to. It's always a work thing, but it's a much more calm, slow, easy to have fun with stream. There's not a lot of things you really have to worry about. We're painting minis. We're just doing it for fun. It's not like these are gonna be on display in a museum or something. So, but I've been so excited about painting this Flail Snail.
Oh,
it's one of my favorite D&D creatures ever. And uh, also, Avi, you were talking about the size of the mini. That's also a fun thing when I've talked to people who they probably haven't encountered a flail snail in their game,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't realize how big they actually are. It's like, oh yeah, giant snail. So like the size of a dog, right? It's like, well,
No,
think more
Well,
like a horse.
more than a horse. I mean, here's a medium humanoid compared to the flail
That's
snail.
true.
oh
Yeah,
wow.
It's like an
oh,
elephant to a humanoid almost.
that's right.
So they're sizable.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure in all the years I've played, no one has busted out a flail snail at us.
Jasmine is the only one who has busted it out for when I've been a player. And I probably spent more time during that show getting excited about there being flail snails than being worried about the fact that they were attacking
Oh
us.
no.
'Cause
Well,
that's the thing about these, one of the, at least in my view, the interesting thing about these creatures, they're not usually aggressive. Like you can encounter flail snails and they're just going about their business and doing what they do, and as long as you don't attack them, they'll they're fine. So I think that's why it's sometimes hard for them to show up in games, because there's got to be like a, it's either like a random encounter or there's got to be a story reason for them to show up. Uh, but yeah, Jasmine Bular is the one who gave me the opportunity to actually fight a flail snail and then have fun dealing with the ramifications of, here's a 500-pound shell that is able to be turned into a bunch of magic items. If you can deal with a 500-pound shell, what do you want to do?
That's incredible.
Also,
uh,
thank you, Belswin, for all of the gift subs. If you got a gift sub from
Yes.
Belswin, make sure you say thank you and enjoy your emotes. I'm sorry, you're about to say something?
now I very much want to run a game with our friend Lady Luck
Yeah.
Ooh.
because she always plays a bard or a druid, and I want to make her slash see her try to do this, befriend a flail snail because she would.
Oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Oh, that'd be amazing.
See, the Dr. Doolittle movie loving kid in me, like, I was always fascinated when he was living in that damn snail's shell. Like, remember,
Hmm.
like, the middle part of the movie? Like, that's why for me, I'm like, flail snails. Oh, it's kind of like Dr. Doolittle's movie.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I've
So, yeah.
I've thrown flail snails at my players
Oh
multiple
wow.
times, just
Yeah.
because it's fun, because like I said, you can have them show up and they're not necessarily a battle because they're not
Mm-hmm.
naturally aggressive. So
A
uh
wandering opera geek has shown up.
oh hey.
Ooh.
Hey Opera Geek.
Hello.
Welcome. It
Ooh.
is a good Friday to enjoy a flail snail. Poke, 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 poke. Yeah, one of the other fun things about flail snails is that they eat dirt and secrete glass.
I'm sorry, what?
Yep,
Bless.
it is. They just wander around eating dirt and rocks and sticks and mud, and the slime trail they leave behind is liquid, is basically glass. It turns into these panes of almost clear glass that you can then harvest for window panes or melt back down to turn into other glass things.
Okay.
This is
No, no, the wheels are turning, Lauren. The wheels are turning.
Uh-huh.
right. Now you're seeing why I just find this creature is cool all by itself, just as a stat block, but then all of this that we've talked about is lore in the game, in the monster manual.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, wait, you can just harvest glass from these things and they're the size of elephants, and wait, what?
Yeah,
And we haven't even
see?
gotten to the fun magic properties of their shells and what they do.
Which means I think we need to get to that part then.
But you were
Right?
about to say something. You said
Oh, I'm
we'll
already
see.
getting I'm getting an idea for a new character, like a little gnome ranger who has one of these and like rides along on the shell like giddy up style, and it's just, her trusted
That's
steed.
amazing.
I think it'd be hysterical.
It'd be so much fun. It'd
She's
be the
in no rush
slowest
to get
steed.
anywhere fast, but you know.
No, you would need like a 10-day just to get across the street.
Right?
Yeah. Yep. Because they're big, but they still slow.
Yeah. I'm really liking how this color is drying on the shell.
Yeah, this is
It's a
for a
pretty
color that's called sick green. It is a really
Yeah.
neat color.
It's a nice
Mine
color.
is. Oh, yours is still wet because mine is drying a little already, and it's interesting as it dries.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it looks very so I'm like I double checked to make sure I grabbed the right green, and I did. But I think V has better lighting than I do.
Possibly.
V
'Cause I
definitely has
have,
better lighting than I do. That's for sure.
well, I've got lights, but
What's it
since
doing on
the
your end?
it just let's see if I can hold it up. My camera will actually focus this time. Come on, focus. There we
There
go.
we go. Yeah, that's about the color I'm getting.
Oh, okay, then you just have really good lights.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like about the color I'm getting as well. It's definitely drying a little bit lighter than when it goes on wet. That I am noticing.
Yeah, and I think that's where I'm at because it's drying as I make my way around the shell.
Yeah.
So I'm like, did I mess up? Oh no, it's just drying very quickly.
Nope.
And mine's taking a little bit longer to dry, but I'm in Seattle, so everything takes longer to dry.
Oh,
It was just my life. I did actually forget to say at the beginning, we do have Gabe in chat as our moderator. Thank you, Gabe. If you do have any questions, you can go ahead and put question in big capital letters and your question so that Gabe can grab it because we got a little backstage document that I can check. So that way when I'm trying to not get sick green on the base of the flail snail, I don't miss your question. I know V's like, we're going to do this so that you don't have to worry about the base.
Uh-huh.
But I still try real hard.
I appreciate that.
but you still worry about the base.
It's all about worrying about that base.
So we're all
That
about
base.
the base.
Yeah.
That base.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got a goofy question. Does this little fold part count as part of the shell?
Which little fold part? Because
Oh, you painted it, so that answers my question,
yeah,
V.
if that helps.
That
Yes.
does.
Okay.
Because I was like, I'm not sure if that counts, or if it's just what would be the hard shell.
Yep, this is all part of the shell itself. The nice trick is if you look at the texture of the snail's body, it has more of like an elephant hide texture to it. So if it looks like elephant hide, you don't want to paint that green.
Gotcha.
That makes sense. Okay. So I am guessing neither of you have it sounds like neither of you have encountered and or used flail snails in either of your games.
If I have, I don't recall it.
No, but I think I need to fix that.
That's just it. I'm like, but I'm thinking I need to remedy this in one way or another.
We need to do some kind of shenaniganry with.
God.
Oh, I just had a thought. I just
I
had
like
a wild
that.
thought.
I like wild thoughts.
So, us, the Opera Geek, Lady Luck, Brian, and Eugenio.
God.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
All good people.
Of course, Scotty has to be there.
Mm-hmm.
As, and at least one of us, if not more, has to have a flail snail in some capacity, either as a familiar or, like V was saying, like as a mount. Or we encounter them in the wild.
Mm-hmm.
Or both.
Or all of the above.
Or all of the above.
Yeah.
That would be a riot.
Yep. There's the first one. Got paint on my hand.
I mean, you had me at the people that you mentioned in the game, so. Now, chat, don't take this as this game is happening. We all know that the joy of talking about games does not mean that they're actually 100% happening, but I do really like this idea.
I mean, anyone who's ever tried to schedule a D&D game knows this is idle fantasy at this point.
Why don't we have a stream named Idle Fantasy? How have we missed that? We've done idle in every other way for stream names. How have we missed that one?
Only if you could do a crossover of Final Fantasy characters.
Oh God, that would be hysterical.
I can see Final Fantasy characters in our game.
I mean, look
They're
at
not
Cloud and
D&D
Sephiroth.
characters.
So,
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
All right, so I have this all painted up with the sick green, yo.
It's so sick.
It is.
Yes. I'm getting there. I'm doing the hunt for places
Totally
I
cool.
missed.
I'm getting there. I should have started with a bigger brush.
That's totally all right.
Also, the little crease of the
Mhm.
each part of the shell is where I missed.
Yeah, that definitely sneaks up on you. So it helps to spin, like so many of these larger minis, it helps to spin the minis around a few times just to make sure you can see all the like little nooks and crannies and different angles because they do sneak up on you for sure. A flail snail named Gale just keeps bouncing round my head, says Plumcross. I suddenly feel Susian. A flail snail named Gale.
Oh no, Gale Decarios gets turned into a flail snail,
Could you imagine?
but he wouldn't be okay because he couldn't talk as a flail snail, could he?
Bro, that's true.
He would lose it if he couldn't talk.
The verbose boy has to be quiet.
So the other fun thing about flail snails that would make Gale turning into one even more interesting, their shell, if you do actually fight flail snails, their shell reflects magic in weird and different ways. There's like a little tiny table in their stat block. And so if you attack a flail snail with magic, the magic might just bounce off into the ether. It might come back at you in a different way. It might get absorbed by the shell.
Oh.
Like flail snails are not just a bunch of hit points and a slow creature. They have like a really interesting battle mechanic that is a lot of fun. So while I don't always recommend fighting one because, why not be friends? If you do, you're in for a surprise if you're a spellcaster. So Gale turning into one, I feel like, is both appropriate and funny.
So are they like Grimishka?
I haven't looked at Grimishka in a while. I know Grimishka are like immune to.
They're allergic.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's yeah.
Oh.
I think it's similar, but I think I don't remember offhand what specifically the Grimishka does, but it's that similar type of idea of you don't necessarily want to be flinging spells at these things.
So I don't know how accurate Baldur's Gate is to the 5e manual when it comes to Grimishka.
Mm-hmm.
But should you encounter them and start flinging magic at them, you're in for an explosive time.
Oh, geesh. That is good to
Yeah.
know.
Oh, okay
Yeah.
then.
I
Well,
learned that the hard way.
I was gonna say that sounds like that was a lesson learned in one way or another.
Because guess who always has Gale in their party?
Ah.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh boy.
Yeah. I was like, oh boy.
Yeah, that could
Guess
be
we're
a
long
problem.
resting. Like, whoops, guess we're long resting earlier than I planned.
Mm-hmm.
I love those moments in Baldur's Gate 3 where they've for whatever reason, mechanical or story-wise, have altered how the mechanics of D&D work for like Grimishka, because it makes me feel like a new player of the game again,
Yeah.
when you come to a game and like, all right, here's a creature that I've never encountered and yay, I'm excited. Or here's a battle in a way that I've never seen before. Like I kind of get excited by that. So I'm excited to run into Grimishka.
There you go.
I can tell you later where they are if you have not run into them yet.
I have not. So I will take you up on that later. Luke and I are doing a co-op playthrough that is taking a little while because,
Right.
because both of us have to be able to play at the same time. So it is almost as difficult as scheduling a D&D game.
Even though we live in the same house.
Live in the same house, do this, but every once in a while it's like, all right, we've got an hour or two before bed. Do you want to play? And it's like, okay, we can get in a little bit. Or one of us will be like, I just need to not brain.
Oh God, that's such a
Yeah.
thing. All right. So if
Also, I
you finished
think-
up with the greenness,
Yeah.
Almost there. I just have the
Almost there.
lip of this, the lip
Okay,
of the
cool.
shell.
Very cool. I realized before we started, did the two of you manage to get a hold of the sponge, the makeup sponge wedge?
I
In the supply?
actually have some.
I did
Or,
not.
or do
I
you have a
forgot about.
cotton ball?
I definitely have cotton balls. I will have
Okay.
to. Uh, I'll need 30 seconds to get to a bathroom when we
Okay.
need
So either,
the cotton
Lauren,
balls.
either a cotton ball, or if you want to, you could do this with wadded up, not toilet paper, paper towels.
Paper towels.
Paper
Okay.
towels, yeah. So basically, we're going to do some fun sponging effects on the shell. Remember how I try and plot everything out so it makes sense that you don't have to worry about going back over and repainting things? So we're basically starting on focusing on the shell, and then we'll go to the slug's body. But we're going to do some sponging technique on the shell to kind of play into the multitonal iridescent-y thing that these snail shells have going on. So that's why you're going to want to make sure you have some sort of sponge. What I've grabbed, just while we're waiting for things to dry, just to give everyone a heads up, what I've grabbed is just basically one of those typical latex sponges you can find in the makeup aisle. They come stacked on top of each other in like these very rectangular-like formats, and you tear them apart and they end up being a wedge. And then what you'll do is you'll go through and basically rip off the bottom, which I'll show you in a little bit. And it creates this fun texture so that you can take the miniature paint and sponge it onto the shell and get some really cool gradient techniques that go on with this. And if you don't have a makeup wedge sponge like this, what you can do, Lauren, is just get a paper towel. I'm using one that I've used already because I'm not going to be using this technique. But you'll get a paper towel, and what you want to do is like scrunch it up so it loses its rigidity and it's more wrinkly like this.
Okay.
And then you're just going to create like this little tufted ball like this, and you can use the texture on the paper towel itself. You'll dip it lightly into the paint and then blot it off on the paper plate, and then very lightly, like barely touching it, you can go through and just dab it on to the shell.
Okay.
So
I am wadding up even as we speak.
okay, great. And you might want to have a few of these because we're going to be doing different colors.
I've learned over the last couple of years that we've done this show that I am prone to a mess, and so I've just started bringing the entire paper towel roll with me whenever we're doing these shows.
Dun, dun. But the good news is we're not quite to that point yet. In fact, what we're going to do is we're going to mix a little bit of the ghoul flesh from the prismatic paint lines, which is basically just a very light sky blue color for those of you who are using more generic colored paints. And we're going to mix that in with either what you have left of your sick green or mix it in with the sick green. Just because we're going to do a little dry brush action on the top of the shell to start bringing out some of this texture a little bit ahead of time.
Okay.
I've got, so what would the ratio be? Because I've got a decent amount of sick green left.
2 parts to 1 part. So 2 parts sick green to 1 part of the ghoul flesh. This is a very bizarre combination. As I'm saying it out loud, I'm like, that sounds dark.
Yeah. Well,
And it's going to make such a pretty color. That's the funny part.
I'm as is dry as I'm catching all the little spots.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, oh, I shouldn't be seeing the white under the paint right here. Let me.
Yeah.
There we go. So you dry.
So basically, I'll swatch this on my wrist so you can see. It's almost like a copper Statue of Liberty green now.
Yeah, I just did 2 drops to 1.
Yeah.
In a different part of the palette.
There you go.
I have so many of those disposable palettes.
Mm-hmm. It helps.
I'm just curious, disposable palettes from where? Because I'm a paper plate gal, but I'm always looking for something.
Amazon.
Oh, perfect. Like those things. Okay, cool.
Yep.
Fun thing is you can let those dry sometimes and just peel the paint off and keep using them for a little bit before you need to chuck them from wear and tear.
All right, I think this is a good mix. Should it be more blue or more green?
More of a seafoam green.
Got it. Then I mixed it right.
Yeah. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to go across and dry brush.
Brushy, brushy, brushy.
To bring out this texture just a little bit more.
I did not grab a dry brush. Let me do that.
Okay.
And I think this might be one of the first times I'm going to get to use my giant dry brush.
Yeah, if you got a big one, that's the way to go.
It's your fault, V, that I've started buying actual dry brushes.
Oh dear.
Yep, it's this show and your fault that I've also started not too often, but definitely buying very specific brushes, not just like, oh, here's a nice like you can go to our Discord and see the recommended bunch of brushes that'll get you basically everything you need. But yeah, going to the store and being like, I could use a really tiny brush. What do you got?
Yeah, it's definitely a thing. So this is going to set us up where, even though we're going to be switching over and doing some sponging, this helps to establish the texture just a little bit more with its base color.
Yeah.
I know it's not the brand that we're using, but my local store has a very large army painter section, so.
Oh, there you go.
And I
So
think
does,
V.
so does mine, actually, now that I think about it.
Army painter tends to be carried in stores a lot more often, I've noticed.
V, wasn't it you that told me you can also use like cheap makeup brushes at need?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Makeup brushes are great, especially for dry brushing, because they're so dense. They feather the paint on nicely.
There we go.
Because the other thing I realized was when you try to buy specialty brushes, they cost specialty prices.
Yes, they do. They absolutely do. Now, just a quick thing for those playing the home game, especially if you're at varying levels of painting techniques. If you're not quite comfortable with this idea of getting into sponge painting that we're going to be doing with this, what you could do is you're going to go through and dry brush this color all around the shell, and then go in with the ghoul flesh after this layer of dry brushing dries, do another round of dry brushing, and then you can move to one of those special effect paints and just paint that on top of the shell. If you don't want to quite get this whole rainbow mosaic thing that's going on in the illustrated art that we have going on here at the bottom of the overlay. So if that's your comfort zone, you want to keep it to just dry brushing and then one final layer with the special effects paints, you can absolutely do that. But just remember, you'll need to do a layer of ghoul flesh before doing the special effects paint on top.
And that just continues to be a fun thing to say. A layer of ghoul flesh. And of course, as I'm doing this, I'm finding spots that I missed with the regular green.
It's like the bottom lip of the shell, so I can actually sneakily go in, I think, and just get it because it's not a place that I'm trying to get into the.
Right.
What do you call the thing? The shell?
The shell. The lip of the shell. The body of the snail.
Yeah.
Anatomy gets interesting on this show.
I mean, we learn so much from painting.
That's the fun thing about sending the chat out to go find the names of body parts.
Google it for us.
Yeah, please go and find, because I'm sure there's actual like scientific names for all the parts of a snail. And this is, yeah, we've talked about all the really magical stuff that this D&D creature does, but at the end of the day, it's just a big snail, so it's probably got a similar-ish anatomy.
Yep, it was just one little. There's always that one piece you miss.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, I have done a brushy.
Yay. I'm almost done.
Yep, I'm working on the butt of mine now. There we go.
I always still feel heavy-handed when I do dry brushing.
I've gotten better thanks to V, but now my challenge is when to stop, so that I've stopped when I'm still dry brushing and haven't started just painting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I need to play with the focus here.
I think with this, it's so different. The two colors are so different.
Yeah.
It'll be real clear if you've done too much.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Start like changing the whole thing around.
Yay. I think.
Yeah.
Come on, focus. There we go.
Come on.
I will join in, even though mine will continue to be blurry because I don't have a nice mini cam.
No, there's yours.
Yeah,
Yours
so you
is
can
there.
see
Good.
it starts to show off the striations more in the shell and the ridges of the shell, which is a fun thing to have play off of each other. So while we let that layer dry just a bit, what I'm going to do now is obviously rinse your dry brush. Don't forget to rinse your dry brush because you don't want to do that. That's not fun. That's not fun at all. And then I'm going to take that makeup wedge and start ripping off the bottom of it to create more of a texture. Because right now it's a very smooth texture, which obviously when you go to use it on your face, you want that to be the case because you want it to smooth the foundation out, which is what these brushes are used, or the sponges are used for mostly. Just FYI behind the scenes for those of you who don't use makeup. But what we want to do is give this more of like a natural sponge texture. And I'm sure you're thinking, well, why not just use a natural sponge? Because natural sponges textures are too big for miniatures. I found that by going in and basically literally ripping off the bottom bits, you create a texture like you would find in a natural sponge, but the cells of the foam are finer, so it makes a lot more sense for miniatures to do this.
I'm getting foam everywhere.
The paper towels that we get, we have fancy paper towels. They're those ones that are slightly more cloth-like so that you can also use them as napkins. So I'm getting the little dust particles kind of going everywhere, but I always have to clean the desk anyway afterwards.
Yep. That's just it. There's always cleanup after the show.
I might be a little too dainty with this right now. I'm looking at V and I'm like, mine is still like almost a hole, not a hole, but
There we go.
words are hard, V.
I know. Words are a thing.
It's Friday. Who's got words?
That's just it. I think my word count, like the quota, gets used up by the end of the day on Fridays.
Ooh. I pulled a big chunk off.
I was playing Sea of Thieves the other weekend, and I saw the ship cloud that forms in the sky to notify about a fleet battle. And my brain was so tired, but I was so excited, and I was playing with a couple people that all I shouted into our group chat was, "Ship, cloud, fleet, puffy," because I couldn't get the sentence out.
You bullet pointed it. It was great.
I'm not sure if this is right, but I'm gonna try to hold it up to the camera. I know you can see it.
It's looking like it. Yeah. When it gets a yes. You're good. Yep.
Okay.
Exactly it.
Now there's bits of sponge all over my desk.
There is. And if you wanted to, you could save those bits of sponge. And this is like if you make terrain. You can save those bits of sponge and collect them into a little thing. And then what you do is you add it to terrain and soak it with like Mod Podge and gray paint mixed together.
Ooh.
And it can look like stone scatter. Just a little fly. Like from buildings that have been like destroyed.
That's cool.
Yeah. Waste not, want not.
I feel like a zero should pop up out of the ether now that we've talked about building things.
Yeah, right?
Oh, speaking of popping out of the ether, hi TTRP Gifts. Welcome.
Oh, darling. Okay.
Jinx Peregrine talks about, I love the green color. These snails are so
pretty.
cool. Yeah, absolutely.
Such a pretty green. I'm very happy with
it. And real quick, Rex Verity said, I've heard of people using the silicone fidget popper bubble wrap like things for painting palettes as well.
Oh.
I could see that working. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's a neat idea.
And because they're meant to be popped, it might be even easier to get the dried
back. Yeah,
paint.
it would, especially with the silicone.
Oh, that'd be so satisfying. Yeah. I may do that just for the satisfying afterwards of popping it out.
I don't know where it went. Dang it. Okay, so we're going to jump in. No, we're not going to drop. We're going to jump into using Fairy Dragon Wings as our first color that we're going to sponge onto the shell. So this is if you're playing not the D&D prismatic paints, you want to go for a warm lilac paint for this one. Because you can see we have flecks of that purple kind of showing through in the illustrations down below here.
Oh, why do you gotta do that? No.
Okay, so then what I'm gonna do...
what happened?
I've got a dried cap on the top of my fairy wings.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So what you do is you're gonna dip into the paint itself and then on the side of your plate, or even if you want to do it on a paper towel, you basically blot it off, and you can see it's starting to get this texture going on here as the paint gets worked off. So it's kind of like dry brushing, but with a sponge, and instead of sweeping, you're dabbing, is the best way to describe this. And
Are
that's
we
what I'm gonna do.
squeezing it like this and then dipping?
Yeah. Yeah, you're kind of pinching it
Okay.
so that it exposes it like this, and you can see all that texture that shows up on the sponge now. And you can even like do a test run on your own skin.
Now, do you recommend thinning the paint for this or
No,
keeping
don't
it
thin
as
it.
is?
No, because then
thins.
it's gonna like bleed into everything.
Okay. I think
All right.
we're there.
Yeah, so then you're just gonna do like random patterns. There's no right or wrong way to this, and just work on getting this purple in where you can. It doesn't have to be cohesive. It doesn't have to be perfectly scattered. In fact, you want it to look more random because, again, playing off of what's happening in the illustration, that's basically the kind of look we're creating. And this is why we're waiting on the slug body, because if you get it anywhere else, it's okay.
Now, the paper towel is working real well, but I do find it hard to avoid getting it automatically on the ridges of the shell. I don't know if there's a term.
That's okay. Yeah, no, that's totally okay, though.
Okay. Alter my paper towel technique here just a little bit, just so I can get on the
It also helps
inside.
to spin the sponge around in different angles.
Yeah. We're stippling.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Ah, I see.
Yeah.
I might have to re-dip it because I think I only hit
You
the
will.
edge of the spudge.
Yeah.
The spudge.
The spudge. And actually, what I'm going to do, because this has such a narrow spot in a couple places, I'm going to flip this over and tear up the narrower part of the wedge and load that up a little bit so I can work this into the smaller
I try to get the
spots.
edge more.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the edge is
Living on the edge. I had to.
there.
Yeah,
we
at
go.
least it's not paint and slay unless we sing a little bit. Just enough to have fun, but not
Yes.
get Twitch upset.
Exactly.
There we go.
When in doubt, just chalk it up to parody.
Mm-hmm. Well, at least with the paper towel technique, it's working real well, but a little tiny bit goes a very long way.
It will. And it's the same thing with sponging, quite honestly.
Yeah, I'm barely touching it. I'm giving it a lot of purple here.
Yeah. So then I'm going to call it good on this because I'm seeing it starting to
Okay.
create this modeling look already. So I'm good with that.
Okay.
Okay. So then, Tanya, what you're going to want to do with your sponge is just take a paper towel and sort of just work the excess off on the paper towel in case there's anything left.
Oh, there's plenty. I
Yeah.
might have to rip another
You can
sponge,
even,
actually.
yeah, I was going to say, if you want to jump to a fresh sponge, you can absolutely do that too.
Yeah.
So that just pulled off the excess that was in my sponge off.
Whereas I imagine what I'm doing is just turning my sponge around.
You
Or my paper towel around.
Turn the paper towel around if you want to. You can start with a fresh piece of paper towel if you want. It's completely up to you, Lauren. So that is Fairy Dragon. And then we're going to, pardon my note paper shuffling sounds. We're going to go to Bullywug Hide.
Is that how you say it?
Bullywug.
Where are you?
So much terrain that I'm accidentally building.
Alright, so Bullywug Hide is a fun, it's actually very similar to my nail color. It's a fun, darker lime green.
Also, hi, Awkwardish Panda. Welcome.
Hello.
Hey, Panda. Hey, Robo.
Alright, so similar thing. I'm going to dip the sponge in and
Alright.
blot off some of the paint.
New paper towel time.
You know what? Let me take my bracelet off because that could get to be awkward. I'm just going to check
I
on my
need to
own
stir up
wrist.
the bullywug
I like it. I like it.
because It, despite being shaken, it did not
It did not
roar
stir?
easily. It did not stir or shake
Oh
or
dear.
wiggle.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Rory, what are
And
you
this
doing?
this is definitely one of those greens that separates a lot more than some of the others.
Mhm.
Green is just the color that does that.
Greens and yellows like to separate a lot faster, I've
Mhm.
noticed. Just
Yeah.
in, history of ownership for certain colors. So same thing, I'm just going to do like a scattered, no rhyme or reason, just move this around the shell. There's no right way, there's no wrong way, ultimately.
This is definitely the most interesting that my paper plate has looked after.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we're only halfway done with the show, and my paper plate is already just covered.
Mm-hmm.
All right, there we go. And you said
Okay.
same thing as the purple, just
Yep.
new
just
color now?
blot it around.
Poke, 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 poke.
Yeah, I'm definitely a bit heavy-handed. I almost dropped my snail.
Oh, yeah, don't do that.
Poke, poke, poke.
No flail snails were harmed in this production.
Whereas I'm just having to be, they're not super sharp, but the mouth.
The flail?
Yeah. Well, the flails as well, although those aren't quite as long as the four.
Oh, I see what you mean. The proboscis? Right? I don't even know what we call those.
Yeah.
They're kind of like the sticky outy thingies.
You know what? I actually pulled up the flail snail. Let's see if there's.
Do they have an actual name?
Into shell defense.
Hmm.
All right, they don't have an official name because they attack with their flails. So I don't know what these things are, but they keep poking me. That's a thing.
Wouldn't those be the eye stalks on an actual snail?
The flails or the... I don't know.
Maybe.
The flails, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe?
Maybe. So maybe these protrusions are.
The mouth?
I mean, we've seen stranger eyes. That's for sure.
Do, 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 do,
I'm
do,
making
do.
Swiss cheese of this poor makeup sponge.
Which is totally
like-
okay.
I like awkwardish panda says they're bitey bits. Yeah, you're not wrong.
Nom, 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 nom.
But
Yeah, you
hey,
can
all they're
see
doing
it's-
is eating dirt so that they can make glass. It's fine.
That's fine. Well, I figured if we need to sponge anymore, I would just start on another side.
Yeah, you can always grab another sponge if you want to as well. Because honestly, these makeup wedges, they're like $1 for a pack of 100.
Oh, I grabbed from my pack of like 60.
Uh-huh. Yeah, there's a lot of them when you buy one of these. You will not be
Yeah, unless you're
wanting
buying
them.
like super expensive ones, and even then I'm like, this is the same
Like-
stuff that I can buy at Walgreens.
Don't
Yep,
use a
dollar
makeup
store.
sponge like the kind that look like teardrops. It's a completely different composite.
No.
You specifically want the makeup wedges.
I'm
Oh,
really
no.
glad that you said that because when you were talking about did you remember the makeup sponges, and I realized I had not, and I was mentally thinking through I do not have a lot of makeup, but I do
Right.
have enough that I have one of those sponges, the teardrop, the big teardrop shaped one. So I'm
Yeah.
glad that you confirmed my hunch, which was I don't think that's gonna work.
Nope. You don't want to do
Well,
that.
if that had been the case, I'm like, well, I'm using a paper towel.
Yep.
I am not destroying my good MAC makeup sponge.
Please,
Oh,
yeah,
no.
let's not. Okay, so then we're gonna shift over to the Thrycreen chitlin, which
You
is
say
basic.
chitlin?
Is it? Is it? No, is it chitin? Chitin.
Chitin.
I'm sorry. Chitin, is that what it is? I have no idea how to say these names. Like I have read it
Oh,
many times.
Tanya's got it. It's chitin. It's a
Thank
chitin
you.
shell. But isn't chitlin?
Thank you.
Isn't that a food?
That is a
Yes.
Okay.
I was like, I hope it's not chitlins. Oh god.
We're
Well.
painting with food today.
Ta-da! I mean,
Oh no, if
sometimes.
it was chitlins, I'd have to leave So
No.
just because they are basically pig intestines.
Oh, you know what? I was actually about to ask because I'm like, I recognize the word as a type of food, but I do not actually know what they are. So I'm glad that you said
See,
something.
I love that because it's like that's a word I read many a time. I have yet to have heard it out loud. So chitin,
Mm,
Chitin.
yep.
got it. I have
Chitinous.
learned something today.
Is this also a stipple?
Yep, it's also a take the sponge and blah blah blah.
Third time is the charm. I'm getting real good at this now.
There we go. I'm just sponging onto my wrist so people can see the effects ahead of time.
Yes, I know it's short for chitterlings. I am one of those people, I cannot smell them cooking. I have to leave the house.
Ooh,
Oh.
They're intestines. If you
ooh,
buy them and they're not
oh,
cleaned. Yeah.
oh, God,
Yeah.
no, thank you.
Yeah. I mean, stores do sell them cleaned, but even then, I can't be around them.
Yeah, I can
Oh
imagine
no.
that is a fragrance for sure. That is even if you like that fragrance, I'd imagine it's super strong.
Yeah,
Nope. Nope. Mm-mm.
no, thank you. No, thank you
Nope.
at all.
A former partner, his family would always make them for Thanksgiving, and I was like, "Tell me when food is ready, because I cannot be in here while y'all are cooking those."
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, good Lord.
I should have realized then that I'm real sensitive to certain smells.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and
Totally
that
get that.
definitely makes sense. That kind of odor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some people love them. Me, mm-mm. Now I do like hog head cheese, but it's real specific, and I will only eat it when I'm in the South,
Fair.
which isn't very often.
That I
Y'all can have chitlins. Mm-mm. Now, someone in the chat's like, we need to have a D&D cooking show. Thigh cream chitlins.
Oh, God.
I think Chef Mike has that covered.
Yes.
I think we could just point in that direction. Listen,
All right.
I can barely paint in this office. We can't be cooking too.
Although I think Mike is still in Chicago. I should be like, hey, Mike,
You
let's
should.
do an episode.
There you go.
I adore Chef Mike. He's lovely.
He's a riot.
Okay, fish and chitlins are so not the same.
No.
Oh, someone said the fried fish smell.
Mm.
Yeah, that's true. Although frying fish is often, depending on the fish, not so bad. But any fish in the microwave is horrible.
No,
Oh,
you should get
God.
fired for that.
If I
Yeah.
was about to say, like, if you go to work and you bring your fish and chips and you warm that stuff up in the microwave, wow,
Yeah, first off, the smell is horrible because the
hideous.
microwave just doesn't do it justice. Second off, it's the wrong way to warm up anything that's fried.
Right?
It's you're just gonna end up with
Just no.
soggy sadness.
Yeah.
So
Just no.
Fish chitlins would be fish eggs. No, thank you.
Mm.
I don't like fish roe. I know other people like it on sushi.
I love it, but it's got to be on specific sushi.
That makes sense.
It's a texture thing for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Same for me, but that's why I like it on specific ones. But I totally get that.
Mm.
Like, I could totally understand why people would avoid that. But I'm also that person who will try anything and
Oh yeah.
isn't necessarily grossed out by textured things. So
Oh yeah. Speaking of which, what was your verdict on the bisexual space Oreos?
they're good.
Oh,
They're
yeah?
real good. They're dangerous good.
Okay,
They
so
want you
I
I'm.
told you about the bisexual space Oreos, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if he is in chat, if Urban Bohemian is, I thought I might have seen him, but he's the one that I saw them from. Now, it has been easily a decade or two since I've even had Oreos.
Ooh.
So there was a lot going on. Um, but yeah, they were real good.
Nice.
They were the Pop Rocks I didn't realize were Pop Rocks
Oh
at first.
no.
I thought they were just like little bits of
Like
uh
candy flecks?
almost like bits of sugar embedded in the
Okay.
in there that just hadn't completely wow, my words are gone too. I thought they were just crunchy bits of sugar, and then it took actually cracking open an Oreo and just having the inside to go like, oh no, oh, that's a pop rock.
Mm,
But yeah, I thought they were pretty good.
neat. Ooh.
I
Okay.
like how
so-
Robo immediately perked up out of
Yeah,
nowhere.
what?
Yes. So they're just called space Oreos. But
I'm getting Herb's tweet.
oh yeah.
But they are.
They are in
Yeah.
and they're actually like the colors are very I mean, they're Oreos, which are not really a natural food, so it's not like you really have to worry about naturally colored flavors
Right.
in an Oreo. But they're real pretty. And so yeah, when Herb posted about that, and I had fun for maybe a good 10 minutes just saying bisexual space Oreos. So I had to buy some. And they were pretty good.
Oh my god, I have foam everywhere.
Hmm.
There's the tweet with them.
Nice. Okay, so
hopefully,
yeah, there you
come
go.
on, focus.
So now you want to grab pale flesh. And we're gonna do the same.
Astarian? Astarian, is that you?
Sorry.
You said pale flesh.
I mean, fair.
Here's the sad thing, the color that's called pale flesh is more pigmented than my flesh.
I mean,
Oh, no.
it is my flesh.
It
Look,
is not.
Yeah, no, she's
Tanya,
What?
we
look,
have done this before, yeah.
literally look at the screen right now.
I'm looking. Oh no.
Can you
Wow.
find the pale flesh?
It-
Wow.
Well, there we go.
We
I am
tried.
pale flesh.
That rides on a horse with no name.
Yeah, right.
Are we
gotta keep
dappling?
dabbing.
With...
Yep,
Still dabbing.
still dabbing. Dibba dabba.
I'm starting to get the paper towel technique down,
Nice.
and definitely have learned that I don't need a lot of paper towel. That first one, I
That's
think
good.
I used an entire piece of a paper towel, and it was just way too much.
Yeah.
I see what we're doing. This reminds the sherbet that has like all the rainbow sherbet.
sherbet. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
It reminds me of that.
yeah. You got it.
I'm here for that. Ooh.
I
Rainbow
might have
sherbet.
some in the freezer.
I miss rainbow sherbet and
You
raspberry.
can still get it.
Yeah, but there's usually dairy in it.
No, not in sherbet.
No?
No, that's why I eat more of it because I can't have dairy.
Oh,
Yeah, it's made
Like-
out of something else.
I will have to take a
I
look.
can't. Well, I can have dairy. I should just be careful of it.
Gotcha.
I feel like I want to do like a cut crease on the snail.
A cut.
Go
crease.
for it.
Oh my god.
I mean, the
Hysterical.
snail's getting like all of the makeup
right.
applique. I'm not getting in the. I really am not getting in the crease though.
Yeah. See, DevTech and I are on the same. I think sherbet has some sort of dairy. Sorbet doesn't.
That it's so minimal, at least for me.
Yeah.
I don't know how sensitive you are.
Oh, I can't.
I
Have
can-
casein as a problem.
Hmm.
It's low enough where I can have sherbet and I'm fine. It's usually when there's like real cream and things, that's my problem.
Mm-hmm.
Like if something's been made with real like rich
Right.
homemade cream.
Yeah.
I think Spicy's trying to share a link. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, you can't do. link
Yes, as a
shares.
reminder, please. Only moderators are able to share links,
Yeah.
for everybody's safety. So
Exactly. Okay.
yeah, I'm having the same problem of trying to get some of this in the creases, so that it's not just on the outer side of the shell. Come on, paper towel, work with me.
Yeah.
Valid emotion right there. Okay, then once you're done with the pale flesh, you're gonna go back to ghoul flesh and do that over.
Mm.
bring out those blue tones that you can see.
Flesh. What color's gold flesh again?
It's like that pale blue.
Ah.
Yeah.
I need to pour some pale blue because when we used it at first, we had to mix it.
Right.
Yep. There we go. Okay.
Yeah, but this is just reminding me of rainbow sherbet.
I mean, it's not the first time we've painted a mini and started thinking about food.
Oh, absolutely.
V does a very good job of describing how thick paint should be or what color paint should be in relative food terms.
Yep.
Which is very useful because they tend to be, yeah, exactly. The maple syrup analogy, even if you are not someone who likes maple syrup or has it that often, I think everybody kind of has a vague understanding of how thick that is. And
yeah. So same thing, just kind of dabbing this along.
Because once again, it is Friday, and thus everybody's thinking about weekend and food, and tired but happy. Like it's a.
I'm thinking about the chicken pot pie soup I'm waiting for when we're done.
Ooh, nice.
That sounds good.
Potbellies carries it actually.
Huh.
I haven't gotten far enough to think about what I want for specific meals.
Well, go ahead.
I was gonna say that is something I should start to consider. It's getting towards at least lunchtime for me. I gotta figure something out.
I mean, well, we started at lunchtime for both of you, so it is 3:00 for me.
Yeah. I'm used to having a late lunch on Fridays though with this show. I tried to do lunch beforehand and it's just a little too early.
Yeah.
So now I just deal with I just make sure to step away from the mic a little bit if my stomach is going to tell me that it's been too long, but otherwise it works a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I work on your time zone, so I'm used to also eating late, quote unquote, for me. So
yeah.
All right, I think I have given the shell
There you go.
its daily foundation.
Almost. Yep. All right. So I'm going to go back in and put a little bit more of that fairy dragon wing in, just because I noticed I lost some of my purple that I wanted to keep. So this is where at this point you can kind of play around. Like if there's more of a color you want to see brought out, you can go back and put that color in. Again, sponging it on.
I did lose most of that purple I put on
Yeah.
now that I look at it.
Yeah, so this is sort of it becomes a painter's choice how much of those colors you really want to accent and bring back out. So I'm just going to go through and do some purple again.
Meanwhile, I'm trying to find places that I missed either because they're in a crease or in a corner and the paper towel is just a little too thick.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to focus on there because I definitely got way more on the upper parts of the shell than on the lower parts.
I got the lower parts, but I was being super careful so I didn't touch the body.
Mm.
So it's those creases on each between each level of the shell.
Yeah.
That didn't quite get much dabbling.
Yeah, especially the ones on the rear end of the shell. I'm definitely got whole bands of space. Hey.
Now I wonder if you did more than one color on a sponge, if you kind of crinkle it up, would it just...
You just have to be careful that you're not blending colors that could compete with each other and opposites. Like right now I have the purple and the pale flesh together. So it works. But what you don't want to do is the purple and the green together because it turns brown.
Yeah. So I think we're there. I re-dabbed some purple because I lost all of it.
Yeah. I'm looking at this and I think can definitely
There
help
we
you with
go.
where this sits.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm grabbing a couple last minute. I think I didn't do quite as much as either of you, but I'm at least happy with the distribution
Yeah.
now.
It's just supposed to be something fun and different.
Yeah.
Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to pale flesh and lightly dry brush that on.
Okay.
Very
Trying to
lightly.
find
Like
somewhere.
feather light dry brush touch.
Man. Totally run out of space on this plate from paper plate. It is covered in stippling, and
Yes,
all right, pale flesh.
So you're going to go for
Right.
the ghoul flesh. You want ghoul flesh, that
Oh,
bluish.
Ghoul flesh.
Ghoul flesh.
Oh,
Ghoul flesh?
Yes.
I've still got some of that on the plate. Excellent.
So that light blue.
Is ghoul flesh. Where are you? Oh, I do have some. Yay.
Yeah.
Actually need to clean my brush a little.
Now I'm going to go in and just very lightly start dry brushing to bring out those ridges of the shell.
And this is an all over dry brushing?
All over dry brushing, yep.
Okay.
Oop, I did not get enough off of that. There we go. Oops. The ghoul flesh really wants to hang out.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's like, so you thought you got rid of me, huh?
That seems very appropriate for ghoul flesh.
It is. If
Right?
you think about it, it's enduring, long lasting. When you do it light enough, you can see the paint colors will still play through, but it starts giving you that more cohesive bluish tone like the illustration has.
I'm mainly trying to get those areas where I didn't dab very well
Mhm.
because it's a interior corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, the backside of my shell is getting a lot of love right now.
That sounds so wrong, but I know what you meant.
Amazing.
Yep.
It's Friday. It's a long weekend.
Yep.
It is.
And it's a show that I'm just used to saying the thing and realizing afterwards, oh, out of context.
Mm-hmm.
Out of context, that doesn't make much sense, or that's weird.
But you know what? It's fine.
Ooh, Mini Painter's Cookbook, all meals based on color palette.
Interesting.
I mean, that's a thing with like high-end restaurants, right? And where it's not just the flavors, but the whole presentation is part of what you do on the plate.
Oh, you mean the places where you feel like you paid for a picture versus food?
Right?
Yeah, I got hesitant towards the end there because I'm like, I don't know if I've ever had any experience with what I'm talking about outside of seeing it on TV or on YouTube. So
I've had a couple of those moments where it's like, oh, this place is supposed to be so great, yada yada, and then when the plate comes out, you're like, food?
Uh-huh.
so we're going somewhere else to eat after this, right?
That's pretty much what you
Basically.
do, yeah.
It is a to be seen kind of place.
That is bleh,
Basically.
uninteresting.
Very much so. The kind of place where people think they need to take you like on a date or on a special occasion, and then you feel like, oh, that was fun. I'm still hungry.
Mm-hmm.
You get takeout when you get back home.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Or you get dessert because that's what's gonna really fill you up.
Yeah.
I mean, I have been in, it's been a while since I've been in a wedding party, but definitely I've been in quite a few wedding parties and where the time between when the ceremony happened and then the pictures and then the reception was long enough that the entire wedding party basically did a drive-through so that they could get some food because it was going to be a couple hours and it's not like there's really much you can do. So they'd go get pictures and then be like, let's go to a Wendy's.
Yep, and just hope nobody spills on themselves, but we've already taken our pictures.
Exactly.
The last wedding I was in was a formal wedding on a boat, so we couldn't do that. Yeah. Luckily, the couple's still married because I would have been real mad if they weren't still married.
Was it like a day cruise or was it a big
No.
long cruise or what?
No, it was we boarded, there was a little bit of getting ready on the boat, wedding and then the party, but we kind of lapped around Navy Pier for a few laps.
Okay.
But we were on the water at least a couple hours. And then we docked and I'm like, it was nice seeing you. I'm tired of being on a boat. Goodbye. I did my part. I stood up here in a black dress. It was like after 5, attire.
Right.
And it was a lot.
I do know a couple people, fortunately no close friends where I was going to be invited to the wedding, but I do know a couple people who did either cruise weddings or destination weddings where it's like, I don't have the money to go there. That being said, my mother, bless her heart, which I say in both ways, because Luke and I, because he had the visa for coming over to for us to get married. When the visa came, you're given 3 months to get married. Here, go. You really love each other. Go. And so everything was going to be very last minute, but like that weird, I'm going to plan ahead as much as I can last minute. And my mom at one point, because it was going to be, all right, this is going to be tiny wedding. It's just going to be a couple people, some friends, minister, that kind of thing. Because we're here in Seattle, at one point she got an idea to do one of the cruises that go to Alaska. And that's, all right, we'll have the little bit of family and friends and go. And she was all on board with this idea, pun intended, until she saw the price for things, because those are not cheap. And then the question became, who's paying for that? Because, like, we just dropped thousands of dollars on a lawyer to get Luke into the country. I don't have money to get on this boat. This is a very beautiful idea. Not gonna work.
Yeah, not exactly budget friendly for some.
No.
Okay.
People don't think about that.
Yeah.
Nope.
I wanted to go on the Joko cruise when Bronze announced she was going to be on it, and so was Jasper. And then I looked at how much it costs.
Yeah.
I am doing well. I'm not doing $5,000 cruise well.
Yeah.
How long was that cruise? Like, was it
Joko
just a couple
cruise
days?
Joko cruise, I think it's a while.
Mm.
While we let paint dry, I will look.
Because that's the one thing about those kind of cruises in where it's still super expensive, but it can be a little bit more reasonable, because usually it sounds like they're all inclusive as far as like meals and things. So yeah, it's a chunk of money, but depending on how long the cruise is, it's sometimes not so bad.
It's very soon. It is March 9th through 16th.
Oh,
wow.
it's
around the corner.
Yeah.
Oh, they've already got 2025 info up there.
Dang, that's impressive.
It's March 2nd through 9th next year.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, I think they've gotten to a point now where they need to do layaway. I don't want to, I just want to see what it costs.
So now that we have the shell pretty much done, we'll do the special effects next time we paint, because this has a good number of paint layers on here. Now, granted, we've done sponging, which is lighter, but you still want to give this paint a chance to cure and solidify a little bit more before we put the special effects paints on top of it. So do not feel tempted to start putting the cool shiny stuff on yet, because yes, I know that's what the shell will look like when we're done, but we want to give this paint a chance to kind of solidify essentially and dry up. So we're going to move on to doing the body of the Flail Snail now, which means we want to start working with leather brown. We're going to start getting that on. So we're going to do
Well,
leather
that's
brown.
most of our snail, right?
Well, I'm kind of doing a fun gradient thing with
Ooh.
it. So we're going to do leather brown, but we're only going to bring it up about a third of the way of the snail. So we're going to take leather brown and bring it up and through and kind of stop here-ish, like where the snail starts to raise up a little bit.
Okay.
And feather the paint out because we're going to kind of blend these color together. Because if you look at the official art, it has like this darker foot, and then as it starts rising up on itself, it gets into this really cool goldeny brown tone as it works up towards
Okay.
those flails. So we're kind of going to try and mimic that.
Probably need a smaller brush for that.
Yeah, I would definitely move into a smaller round brush, especially to work those details around the bottom of the snail's body, the foot.
All of my unintentional terrain is in the way.
I've managed to find a corner of this.
Mine is thick.
Oh, see, mine was watery. I only used a little bit of water to water down. But it was a challenge to find a corner of the plate that I could use that it wasn't gonna turn into a different color. But I think I'm okay.
All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna feather it at about the spot. So we're kind of gonna use this segment right here as our.
Oh, I went too far.
That's okay. It's not exactly right or wrong. It's just targeting towards a certain area.
Yeah, well, I tried to like start at where you said the end would be, and I think I just went a little too high.
It's okay. It'll still work.
We'll fix it in post.
Exactly.
Yeah, my
If
leather
anything,
brown
you
is a little watery.
Oh, interesting. Mine was like thick. It was almost toothpaste-like.
No. I also, thanks to various people we all knew, I invested in a nip nop.
What is that?
It started to be called a nip nop. It's a paint shaker.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
It's marketed toward mini painters, and because when I've gotten my nails done, they have some that are made for paint bottles that look nail polish bottles, I should say, but look like the paint mixers you see in the hardware store.
Oh, the big clampy things that are super, super loud.
Yeah, but these fit a nail polish bottle, and I've seen them put nail polish bottles in there and shake it like it's a paint can. But this basically it has a rubber top. You plug it in, and I always put my paints in top side down, unless they're other brands for Warhammer.
Yeah.
And put the top side down, and then it just shakes it for you.
Interesting.
Because as we saw, like the yellows, the greens like to separate.
Yeah.
And that's universal. I don't care what paint brand it is,
Oh,
those
it's true.
always
Those colors,
separate.
yeah.
So it does require AC adapter, so I try to keep it plugged in, but right now it's not. But
And is it-
basically,
Sorry, go ahead.
no, it just lets you easily shake without like shaking it yourself and maybe not being able to mix it properly or mix it to get back together.
Yeah.
I will grab an Amazon link while I let this dry.
Yeah. How did it go from paint shaker to nip nop though? That's what I'm finding.
I don't know if
Yeah.
oh Panda's in chat. Panda could probably explain this.
Help
'Cause
us, Panda.
It looks like a rubber nipple.
Oh, funny.
Okay. Now, is it
Um,
a single paint shaker, or is it like, oh, you put a collection in there, or
No, one at a time.
one at a time? Okay.
Once I get this layer of leather brown down, I will grab a link. Unless Panda can find one and send it to me, and then I can put it in chat. Because I've still got a VIP badge.
Vortex mixers. They are made for science labs. Okay. All right. That makes sense.
How far are we going on the other side with the brown paint?
we're going to put it right about, I'll start the girly, not right now. Right about here on the other side where I just added that mark. So kind of on the edge of where it starts to curve up.
I got it. Okay.
Frankly, I'm surprised that we got a whole 90 minutes before the cats got insistent again.
Mm-hmm. Well, because she's like, ahem, I'm starting to feel peckish, mother.
Oh, Rory.
Look at this little face. Just what she's doing.
Aw.
Say hi, baby girl.
Hi, buddy.
It's that time of the Friday. Everybody say hi to the kitties.
Yep. You can let me paint over you, or are you going to be a problem?
Both.
I was going to say, that's pretty much a yes response. Yes, but mother.
Yep. Okay.
I still love the photo of her staring over us at the railing.
That was hysterical. Yeah, I have a loft situation in my house over the living room, and Rory loves to sit in the loft and stick her head between the banister rails and look down upon you as you sit on the couch in the living room.
How apropos.
Yeah, and she's just like, hey, what you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everyone's in chat saying hi to the cats. It's that time.
Here is the Vortex Painter, aka the Nip Nop.
All right.
Mine's gonna transfer.
Thank you, Panda. Because it's been a while since I bought it, so it'd be the end of the show before I found the link.
Gotcha. I like how this has become a group effort scenario.
Oh yes.
Okay, so I see where the nickname came from. Absolutely.
So you see, it's not just me being weird.
No. Oh no.
Well, the funny thing is, Panda and Zero would just say, "Oh, I need to get the Nip Nop," and I'm like, "The what? The host?"
The host.
I'm glad they have pictures in here that include test tubes and or hands, because just seeing it by itself, I don't know why, but my brain thinks that it is quite large, and then I see it in relation to this person's hand and realize, oh no, this is tiny.
Huh.
Yeah, it's pretty small. Like I can pretty much, if I need to, grab it one-handed and then, kind of tuck it under my arm and find a place to plug it in.
Yeah.
That I try to keep it plugged in, but as you both know, space is a premium.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That definitely becomes
Panda says
thing.
You just push the paint bottle down on the top and it vibrates the bottle. Okay. Now I think I'm picturing this the right way.
Yeah.
Little girl.
Because the Warhammer brands are infamous for me for just separating.
No, they do.
Yeah, and then, you're like, I just want to paint something. I have this little army.
I just want to do the thing. Okay, so I'm going to jump over to Sun Yellow, and we're going to mix in a couple drops to the Leather Brown, and you still have it on your palette.
Yep.
Oh no, come on, don't do this to me.
It should still be kind of brown though, right?
Yeah.
Come on. I can't open it.
I'm having the exact same problem with my Sun Yellow. I've had this problem before with this.
Okay, then go to, it's like gold yellow, I think is the other color.
Well.
This is stuck on here good.
All right.
Okay.
Gold
so
yellow, you said? I'm
just
giving up.
So after
is that an
show,
intermediate or primary?
God, I don't remember off the top of my head. What? So what the two of you will want to do is take that Sun Yellow and dip the cap into some hot water and hold it there for 10 seconds, and then with a towel over the top, open it up. The heat will help shift the lock on it.
So the funny thing is, I know that works because the last time we tried to use Sun Yellow, I had this exact same problem. And so I went and did that and it worked. And now it's seized up again. And I am more than slightly annoyed.
Yeah.
All right, gold yellow. Let's see if I can open it.
Hopefully.
Not. I will go grab another yellow from behind me.
Grab a yellow. Let's put it that way.
Yep, gold yellow, open right up. Since this is a little darker, should I use just one or
I
two
would,
drops?
yeah, just keep it to the one drop and see if you get enough of a transition color.
Oh yeah, that works. Just the one drop of gold yellow is
Okay,
perfect.
great.
I
Okay,
don't
so
think I need to water this down anymore. Okay, where are we bringing this to?
So now we're going to do another third treatment. So we're going to take it up and have it kind of stop right about where the neck line starts, and it starts to smooth out a little bit more.
Oh, yeah. Man, I didn't even see that molt line until just now.
Yeah.
It's not so bad, though. It's not
It's going to...
it's not egregious.
Yeah.
Are we also getting under the belly, or is just the top where the
Nope,
scales
under
are?
the belly as well.
Okay. Oh,
we're
and I
going
should
pretty far up the neck.
Yeah.
Yeah. I should say, since we are about 20 minutes away from unfortunately having to stop, if you have any last questions, go ahead and put those in chat with question in big capital letters so that Gabe can grab it. I can't guarantee we will get to any questions because we're having fun talking about all of the fun ways that we buy things on Amazon in order to be able to shake our paints. But it's always good to put those in there. Yeah, I should. Oh, I gotta double check that. Oh, or
Now let's try to round down.
Okay.
Oh,
There is
we're
formation
going.
save after us today. Okay.
We're going really far up.
Yeah.
So basically, just not the neck ridge.
Yep. Basically stop where it starts to smooth out back here.
Mm,
And I kind of just feather the line a little bit so it's not a straight line.
okay.
Ah.
I was
Okay.
worried I was going too far.
Nope.
Me, go too far, never.
Meanwhile, I just put my finger right into the paint. So,
Oh, shoot.
Oh
well,
no.
my finger's all yellow now, orange yellow. Oh well.
It was all yellow.
Well.
The stars. I don't have that song in my head.
Yep.
Now the fun thing is painting underneath and getting into that recess with this.
I'm still dealing with these scales and making sure that I get paint in and amongst them without filling them up.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's the hard part.
Poke, 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 poke. So much poking. And also having fun covering up where I accidentally got green on the body. Like, nope,
There
that
you
was,
go.
nope,
That
didn't
was
do that. You
intentional.
didn't see that. Nope.
Fully intentional. You meant to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
You're adding
part
depth
of the
and
plan.
shadows in ahead of time.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. Young lady, she's headbutting my leg right now.
Rory, how rude.
She's like literally taking her head and just like banging against my shin. Like,
Mother.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me.
Why do you not feed me, mother?
Oh no, now we're doing the pathetic like reaching up from underneath the desk with her little white paw.
Oh, buddy.
She's pulling out all the stops right now. Honey,
She
I
knows
know
you're
I
on
can
camera.
film. She does.
Oh,
She absolutely does.
absolutely. Like I said, I'm impressed that you only have to deal with the one right now. Very often, by the time we get to the end of the show,
Two of
there's
them.
easily.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and there's the slime under here we gotta be careful of. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Ah. I say as I get on the slime.
And
Well, I
that's
mean,
what
we
the
can
alcohol's
always-
for.
That's something for the
Mhm.
rubbing alcohol another day. A little bit of that on the paintbrush. So, hi. Really?
Oh no.
Someone's here to help paint.
Is she gonna bite you?
No. No, she doesn't. She nuzzles and she purrs in my ear and that type of thing. She gets very cutesy when she does this.
No, like the love bite. I was like, oh
No.
no, what is she
Yeah.
doing? Rory. Oh goodness.
I think she does actually know that not only are we on stream, but Tanya, that you're here, because this is as aggressive is the wrong word, but insistent. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
This is as insistent as I've ever seen her. Like, I don't think she's ever actually climbed onto the back of your chair during a
No,
stream
she hasn't.
before.
Oh no.
This is
One of these
so
days we'll get
motivating
new
attention.
emotes in chat, and there will be kitty emotes. There just has to be.
There has to be a very prim Miss Rory
Yeah,
emote.
right. I actually got a picture of her the other day, looking at me in abject horror. I need to put it onto Twitter.
Why? What happened?
Some sound was made and she was napping and it woke her up and she was not in the happiness about it.
I mean,
buddy.
I can understand that.
Yeah, her expression was just so priceless. I took a photo of it. I'm like, well, this sums you up.
Sorry
You're
for
like-
waking you up, but thank you for a fun picture that will make me happy for days.
If you want something to amuse you, ask Lady Luck for pictures of her dog. Being judgy.
I had a cat.
No, her
named
dog
Queenie.
judges.
Yeah. I had a cat named Queenie. She was a Norwegian forest cat. So very fluffy and furry. And she was this beautiful orange rust color, which is rare for females to have. But she basically got dubbed disapproving cat because you know how some people like, the resting rhymes with witch face?
Mm-hmm.
She just had resting disapproving face. Like, just looked like she was annoyed with the world at all times. So it was funny.
So she was me as a cat.
I mean, you would have loved her, actually. She was a lot of fun.
Judgmental cat.
She always looked like she had a thought in her head and, like, it may not be in your favor, but she kept it to herself. It was the best way to describe her.
So it's me as a cat.
There you go. I'll see if I can find a picture of her and send it your way, Tanya, afterwards, because, oh my gosh, she was a funny, funny girl.
Oh, McTribble put a bunch of cat emotes in chat.
Oh, yeah.
I miss having a cat, but it's weird. Had a cat for 21 years, and I'm still not ready for another one.
I mean, that's fair.
I don't think that's weird at all. Everyone's got to kind of recover
terms.
from the loss of a pet in their own way. And some folks need another pet right away, and others need that time. And it's just there's no rhyme or reason or specifics to it.
Oh yeah, it was just I had a weird week where like 3 different people that did not know each other all asked me if I was ready for another pet.
Oh,
And it was just really weird, and it was like at least a year since I'd lost my cat, but it was like you all don't know each other, so I can't even say you're in league together.
Right.
yeah.
Okay, so that is working for
Alright.
the body.
I'm doing the thing and where I'm going back and noticing, oh, I missed this tiny little spot in
Yeah.
between this scale. Missed the spot in this scale. Ah, the scale hunt.
What I'm seeing is as
Going
it
on a
dries,
scale hunt.
there's like these tiny little white splotches where I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, missed that.
Mm.
But luckily, it's small enough where I can just go in and dab a little.
Yeah, that's fair.
Texture. It's your enemy on occasion.
Also, it's both the green and this, because they're not paints that we have mixed. I feel better about accidentally missing something because I know when we come back, when I see the part that I missed,
Right.
because I know there'll be at least something, it'll be real easy to fix it.
Yeah, exactly. Then once you finish off that section, you're going to take off-white and add a couple drops to the paint that you have mixed to lighten it up, and you'll take care of basically painting the rest of the snail's head and kind of bringing it up to the top of this webbing area to the eye stalks and kind of feathering it around the base of the eye stalks.
Okay.
Okay.
You said that's the off-white.
Yeah, adding it to the color mix we already have going. Can add a couple drops.
1 or 2 drops?
2 drops.
Come on. I was like, don't do this to me twice in one stream.
Oh
Oh,
no.
jeez.
Wouldn't that just be the way?
Yeah.
And we're also getting this on the eye stalks, but only up to that webbing.
Yeah, it's going to stop. Basically, you want to stop it where the webbing stops.
Okay.
So it's like kind of a cafe au lait brown.
Yeah.
And I touch the shell. You are dry enough to touch the shell. Yay. And does that also include the protrusions that we have yet to actually name?
Yep.
Okay.
It does include those.
All right, I'm gonna get the protrusions first.
Actually, going to pull down the eye stalks.
I think we'll smaller brush. I think it's time for smaller brush.
Just to help with that demarcation.
I'm actually kind of surprised how much we've gotten painted in this show. I think I was just assuming that because the shell does this whole rainbow effect that was going to take so long that we weren't going to even get to other parts of the snail. But I love that we're basically going to get at least a color on most of the body.
Yeah.
All right, I'm carefully watching V to see like where I should stop.
Yep.
There. I just did the stalks to kind of give you a reference point for how far I'm going to take it.
Modified to 4s. McTribble is offering up that the protrusions might be modified to 4s, but I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly.
Amatophores?
Maybe?
Yeah, amatophore sounds right.
That is not a word I am familiar with. It sounds scientific, so I'm so sure.
Nor am I, but
I think you're right though with the pronunciation. I'm at least putting the emphasis on the wrong syllable.
not syllable.
Why you gotta be all wrinkly around these protrusions that we
Right?
don't know the name of?
Because that's how things are.
No, I just want to call them onomatopoeias.
I mean, why not?
Get to the onomatopoeia of the snail. The what now?
I mean, here we are painting one of my favorite creatures from D&D, and I am still discovering new things about this snail. Like, oh, your mouth parts are disgusting. Okay. All right, sure. Oh, I might not have made enough of this color. Uh-oh.
If you need to, it's just mixing the yellow, the brown, and the off-white together.
I'm trying to see like, so we get this whole back section, right, of the
Yeah.
webbing.
Yep.
Okay, I might squeak by.
Oh, mine's gonna
Keyword
be
squeak.
Yeah, mine's gonna be close for sure.
If I thin it out a little bit, I might
gonna
make it, but
say.
then that might be too thin.
Thin it, maybe.
Yeah,
I think I'm
gotta-
definitely thinning it, so I'm gonna see if that stretches far enough.
We'll see. We'll see. Come on, paint.
Yeah, at this point, I think with the mixing, if you do equal parts leather brown to the gold to the off-white, it should come up with a comparable color.
It also sounds like there's going to be more blending involved
there
in
is.
this area. So if it's
And
not
dry brushing. So
exactly
if
right.
it's not an exact match, you'll still be okay because there's going to be dry brushing.
Brushy, brushy, brushy.
There's so much of this snail that's going to be all in a rainbow of colors. So if it's not all exactly the same, it's part of the way the snail works.
Mm-hmm.
See all the
It's-
rainbows? There you go.
It's a snail. People will cope. Oh, hi, Brian.
Oh, hey.
Hello.
Welcome to we're just starting to wrap up, but welcome to Flail Snail time.
Oh, for heaven's sake! I thought I painted those parts.
Isn't that always the way, though?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Like, oh, different angle, more light. No, dang it.
You see that one little splotch white, and you're like,
Mm-hmm. Son of a motherless goat.
And it's one of those in where people will say, "Well, but who is ever going to look at this creature in at that angle and see that splotch?" It's me. I'm the person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to look at it and I'm going to see that one spot every
Yep.
single time.
you're like me. I'm gonna know it's there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Come on, almost there.
And I'm just pulling this paint color down just a little bit to blend the two sections together is what I'm doing right now.
The yellow and the
Yeah, the midpoint.
okay.
Nothing drastic.
That's good
This
because
is-
I'm running on fumes for this color,
Yeah.
so I don't have much left to get drastic
you don't need
with.
much. Yeah, you really don't need much to make it impactful.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make sure I just don't have big, obvious white
Yep,
splotches at
that's
this
what
point.
I'm doing right now.
I'm also just gonna hope that if there is a big splotch, that's what washes are for.
It will get a sepia
Mm.
wash on the body. Just as a
Oh,
fly.
that'll even it out.
Yeah. Just as a fly.
I
Right.
had the hell wasp that we'd painted a while ago
Mm-hmm.
fall over,
Oh no.
and it was not a mate. It was not anything horrible. Like the wings were fine. That was the thing I was the most worried about.
Mm-hmm.
But it must have like bounced off of a shelf because there was a place on the side of the body that the paint got just chipped off
Oh.
or scratched off or something. Relatively small, relatively, like the actual mini was okay. But because it was directly on the side of the body, it was so clear to see. And so, yeah, I had to bust out paints and fix it because it was just,
Oh shoot.
I couldn't ignore it.
Yeah. Okay, well, if anything, this is going to be our stopping point.
No.
So we actually made some really good progress on this.
Yeah. This is looking real cool. I am so
Yeah.
excited.
Yeah, so Tanya, I'll send you my notes so you know how to finish wrapping this up. If anything, we'll also have an episode you can watch along with too.
Yeah.
But next week, I
Oh,
believe
there
we're
we
gonna
go.
Yay! Next, we're going to jump back to finishing up our working on the Black Dragon. Finishing up, it's a hopeful statement, but we'll see. So we'll go back to working on the Black Dragon, and when we finish up the Black Dragon, then we'll work on the rest of this Flail Snail and getting it looking all wonderful and iridescent-y goodness. But before we start wrapping things up and saying goodbye, just a few things to keep in mind. And I say we start off with Fenn's new skin first, because this is why Tanya is with us in the first place. And I am so glad
Yeah.
you could join us, Tanya. This has been great. So we have the Feywild Fen skin and feet pack available in the in-game shop. So that means you log into Idle Champions, you go to the shop, and you get yourself Fen looking all bright and colorful and festive, because Fen is in the Feywild in this rendition. So yeah, make sure to check that one out. On top of that, while you're in the game, don't forget to check out the weekend buff that we have going on. So the dance party weekend with the free gold dancing chest, and Herb, you might want to take a look at what's going on with the chest itself.
You came at just the right time.
You did. You really did. We were saying earlier how shame he's not here to check this one out. So yeah, if you haven't signed up for our newsletter, make sure you do, because once a week we will send you notifications about the weekend buffs, what to expect, what the weekend theme is going to be, and we send you a free chest each and every single time. Every so often we'll send you another newsletter with some updates about what's happening in game, but we always send free stuff along with it. So, basically we like to give you things. So yeah, make sure you get that taken care of. And if you haven't gotten this newsletter yet because you have signed up, just remember when these launch, it's not like, the floodgates open and everyone goes out all at the same time. Think of it like a train leaving the station. Different cars full of emails go out at different times. So if for some reason you don't see this newsletter within 24 hours, then, reach out to us and let us know and we'll help you out with that one. Along with a newsletter just freshly announced today with the video spotlight and the spotlight blog, we have Danaher joining us on Wednesday at 12 p.m. Pacific for Fleet's Wake. This is our next champion, so you want to make sure that you log in on Wednesday and check out this fantastic champion who will be joining the roster. And definitely check out those. Hi, Hemi. Definitely check out the Spotlight blog and the video as well, because there's some fantastic information that's been pulled together about Danaher ahead of time for you. So I think that covers all of the big announcements. Again, Tanya, thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything you'd like to share with the audience before we sign off? Let people know where to find you, anything you have going on, things to keep a heads up for.
I am Cypher Tier everywhere online, so if you like streams, like hanging out, I stream. I may even be on later today once I've had some dinner. I am going to be at MagicCon Chicago next week, just hanging out. I'm not doing anything because I am a Magic noob. If you are in the industry and there will be a game developer conference, I'll be there, and then I'll be at PAX East, and then I'm going to rest.
Good. As you
well-earned rest.
Absolutely. So yeah, Lauren and I will see you next week. Like I said, we're picking back up with the Black Dragon to finish that beauty off as best we can. Whether it's going to be another episode or two, we shall see. But other than that, everyone, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Gabe, thank you so much for pulling those questions for us and popping them into the document so we could take a look, because quite frankly, between the painting and the sponging and all that, it comes in very handy. Until next week, everyone, take care, and we'll see you on the flip side. Bye-bye.
Bye.